who was recognized as being a person who hardly smiled in his life. They came to him on the 10th of Muharram. They asked him, how comes now you smile, whereas the rest of your life you were hardly ever seen smiling? He says, my life has been a struggle, but now the struggle is complete with Hussein ibn Ali.
Anyone who dies without knowing his Imam of his time will die like a Jahil. His death will be like a death of anyone who has passed in Jahiliyyah, in ignorance age. So they knew that, and they knew their Imam. How could they again go against their Imam? أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم. Obey Allah, obey the Messenger, and ulul amri minkum. Those people who have been given authority among you, they knew that Imam Hussein alayhi salam was their Imam.
The beauty of the Imam was that Imam al-Hussein sought to give the freedom of choice to his companions, to allow them to continue living their life without the oppression that was going to be faced on the 10th of Muharram.
On the 10th day, the day of Ashura, the companions did not allow any of the family of Hussein to commence battle before them. They fought bravely, one by one, until they all attained martyrdom. The 70,000 strong army of Yazid now faced only a handful of Hussein's family members. One of the youngest was the nephew of Hussein.
Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan, the son of Imam Hussein's own brother, Imam Hassan, his own nephew. Traditions state that he was 11 years old. Some say he was 14 years old.
When Qasim ibn Hassan came to the Imam and asked him for going to the battlefield and actually fighting, if you could imagine the picture, because Qasim ibn Hassan is in his early teens, and you could imagine what an early teenager looks like, and can barely carry a sword with him, and with the heavy armor that they had to wear in order to do something. So he comes and asks the Imam to go to the battlefield.
And the minute he cast his eyes on his uncle, he begins to cry. Imam Hussein begins to cry, and they embrace one another. They embrace and hold one another for so long until traditions tell us that they both fell unconscious.
It's a very, I think, a very tough moment for the Imam to allow even this person, this child, to go and fight. So it goes on, he gets his permission and he goes and starts his fighting, and he does get a few people down until the enemy gets him down. And of course he calls for his uncle to come on him. It's amazing that a child at that age could have courage like that, that can actually go out there with 40, 50-year-old men, younger, older than that, and say, I am Qasim ibn al-Hasan, which they betrayed. Ali Akbar, of course, is the oldest son of the Imam.
His morals were a reflection of his grandfather. His intellect was a reflection of his grandfather. Ali Akbar used to always insist, even as a young man, he used to say, allow the poor to come and eat from my hands. Yet what type of generosity did he face on the 10th of Muharram?
After the companions had all gone and fought their battles and became shaheed, Ali Akbar was the first to go and ask permission to go and fight. So no one would think that the Imam or the children of Imam think themselves as higher than the rest.
He comes to his father to seek permission for him to leave. You see, with all the other family members of Imam Hussein, his nephews, his brothers, his cousins, with all of them, the case was that Imam Hussein would not grant them permission at the first instance. They would come back, they would plead with him, they would beg him, and only then would the Imam give them permission. The only exception was that when Imam Hussein saw his own son Ali al-Akbar come into the tent and he asked him for permission, the traditions say that Imam Hussein gave him the permission instantly. He didn't wait for him to plead. He didn't wait for him to besiege the Imam for permission. He gave him the permission straight away. It's his own son, and the Imam is there in order to offer a sacrifice.
He hugs Ali Akbar and then asks Ali Akbar to go and speak with the woman of the camp, with his mother and with his auntie, for it is the final hug he would give a mother, and the final hug he gives an auntie.
So he went and fought a great battle and killed a lot of the enemy, and he returned to his father.
And he tells his father again, he says, the heat of Karbala is killing me. What words does his father have to offer as consolation, apart from saying to his son that, my son, within a few moments your grandfather will give you water from the pool of Kawthar.
He said his farewells to his father again and went and fought. And it's been said in history that he was hit one of the most. There were a lot of people fought in that battle, but some of them were hit the worst and mutilated. The history says that they say about him, he says, قَطَّعُوهُ عِرْبًا عِرْبًا. They, more than mutilating, they really cut him to pieces. Sallallahu alayhi wa ala.
Eventually Imam collects his son's body. It's narrated in a hadith. Imam Hussein looks towards Najaf and he says towards Najaf, towards where his father is buried, "Oh father, you are the one who lifted the gate of Khaybar, yet you never had to lift a spear from the chest of your son. Come towards Karbala and see me lifting the spear from the chest of my son Ali Akbar."
Abbas was the flag bearer of Imam Hussein alayhi salam.
He was like the backbone of the soldiers who went to defend Imam Hussein alayhi salam.
He was known as a warrior. When the battle started, he would want to go and fight. Abi Abdullah alayhi salatu wasalam would not allow him and said that you are the backbone of this army, you need to stay alive. When the companions all went and fought, he wanted to go again. He wasn't granted permission. When the Ahlul Bayt wanted to go, the Bani Hashim, he came again, and he was still not granted permission. And after a number of people had gone, and the majority of Bani Hashim was even gone, maybe a few of the smaller ones were left, Abbas came again and asked for permission. He was not granted.
The Imam kept saying, no, how could I let you go when you are the bearer of my standard? How could I let you go when you are the chief of my forces? How could I let you go when you are the one holding my flag? You represent the hopes of all the family members. You represent the hopes and aspirations of all my daughters and the women and the children. How could I ever let you go? How could my tongue ever give you permission to leave?
The day of Ashura, they had not had any water. That hot day, it was a summer day in Karbala, very hot, and it's very dry too.
Abu Fadl al-Abbas hears the pangs of thirst of the children around him. Amongst those children is his niece Sukaina, who pleads for water.
These children have not had water, so they're starting to have their cries. They've been having them since maybe early noon, and this is continued until late afternoon. So they come to Abbas and ask, "Uncle, we want water," and they're crying to him. So when he came to the Imam and asked again to go to the battle, the Imam saw these children crying. He said, "You can go and get them some water."
Now the Imam, remember, gave him a specific mission. He didn't ask him to go and fight the enemy forces. He didn't ask him to go and defend Imam Hussein's life. He said, if you have to go and get some water.
Abbas comes forward. He tells Sukaina, "I will go now and I will bring you the water." He goes towards the Euphrates.
Abu al-Fadl Abbas wasn't out there to fight. He was out there with a mission, and the mission was to bring back some water. He goes to the battlefield. He pushes away a huge cavalry of the enemy forces from the